What you're looking at here is the very first GT car from Porsche in the Cayman line. They had the Cayman R before this 2016 GT4 model, but that was really a Cayman in a lightweight exercise with lighter seats and wheels and so on, and really not much of a performance bump. This is the real GT car that came out in 2016 for just 1 year, and because it was only around for 1 year, and because the new GT4s, the price has gone up, the prices of these cars have remained static. So what's that old saying? A high tide lifts all boats. Well, with Porsche prices up in certain categories, especially with the GT cars, these are holding their value, especially one like this that has just over 18,000 kilometers on the odometer. A big shout out to Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver for letting me borrow this car for the day. It's great because I've never driven the GT4. I've driven the Cayman R, the car that came before this. So this is a car targeted at an enthusiast, somebody that likes a higher performance car and probably wants to go to the track on occasion for some open lap days. This is a car that is ready to go out on the track, but you can drive it every single day. Now, we're not going to the track today, but let's start this thing up, go for a drive, and I'll tell you more about the 2016 GT4. Now, Cayman is a perfect candidate for a GT car. You've got the engine just behind the seats here, mid-engine platform, 2 trunks, perfectly balanced. So what did they do to this car to make it special? Well, they modified the suspension and they put a Carrera S engine in the back. We're going to talk about the inside, then we'll go for a drive. So this car would come with Alcantera throughout, and you can see that here. It also has the red stitching, the red accents on the dash, the center console. You have the door handle pulls and the seat belts as well in red. Now, the door handle pulls are a lightweight feature, kind of a tip of the hat to RS America from quite a long time ago. So also a manual transmission, that's a big deal. In this era of Porsche, if you wanted a performance car, whether it's a 911 turbo, a GT3, GT3 RS, they were only sold with PDK. This car comes out in 2016. They're like, GT4, higher performance Cayman, and only sold with a manual transmission? Sign me up. And that's another reason why this car is collectible, it has a manual transmission. This particular model has some nice features on it. You've got the leather dash, leather interior, leather steering wheel, and leather shifter instead of Alcantera. Now, if you're looking for one of these cars or you're going to order a newer one, it's not a bad idea to go with the leather on the steering wheel and the shifter because you have oil on your hands and it can degrade the Alcantera over time. Leather, as you know, when you put oil on it, keeps it nice and soft. So that's the way I would order it. So this is a nicely equipped car. So let's start it up and go for a drive, and I'll tell you what's at work. I like looking at this car because I like the stance of it, and that's a major modification to the Cayman to make it into this car. Is what they did was they took the GT3, the high performance 911, the front suspension, the steering, everything, and put it in this car. So that's pretty good, especially if you're going to be doing some high-speed track driving, which is what this car was designed for. Then they modified the rear suspension and the rear track, and that's why this car has such a nice stance to it. And the rear suspension was also modified because they needed to make room for special engine. It's the Carrera S engine, 3.8 liters and 385 horsepower, and you get a 6-speed manual transmission. So the newer cars have a 4-liter, and that's a modified version of basically the 992 engine, the engine that's sold now. So it starts with a 3-liter and then they turbocharge it. With those cars, it's a 3-liter bored out to 4, and that's how they make it. So they're quite different from each other. But the one thing I'll say in the favor of this car is the Carrera S engine, the 3.8 liter, highly reliable, same serviceability. That's something that's going to be attractive to some people. So I remember when the Boxster and the Cayman came out, a lot of people complained, including Jeremy Clarkson when it first came out, that Porsche had sandbagged these cars, selling them with a distinct power deficit compared to the 911 because you don't want to ever compete with that beautiful 911. Well, then they brought out this car and basically showed all the naysayers that, sure, you want more power? You want a Cayman with a 911 engine? We'll give it to you. And that's exactly what they did. And the benefits of a mid-engine car are just fantastic, not only for everyday driving, but also driving on the track. In fact, it was exactly 1 year ago that I was in Estoril, Portugal, driving the new Cayman GTS on the racetrack. Just for fun, let's show a clip of that. I love that. 200 kilometers an hour on the back straight, rev matching downshift to third gear, double apex. Unwind the steering wheel, add on the throttle. Try to catch up to the 911 4S that's in front of me. On the brakes again. Late apex in this corner. Around we go. And there's a great chicane or S-turn we're coming up to now. In third gear, hard on the brakes, down to second gear, rev matching through the corners, and yeah, the back end comes out just a little bit. That's awesome. Awesome, this is the one I'd want. This is the one I'd want. You can't beat a flat six, normally aspirated. So good. And the same basic philosophy is here. You've got a mid-engine car, lots of power, manual transmission, and with this one, the GT3 front suspension, and that makes a big, big difference. So this is for somebody that wants to go to the track on occasion, probably not a dedicated track car, but you like more performance and you want to go out and do some lapping days, this would be a great machine to have. And with these things holding their value, it sure is nice to know that you can buy something that is beautiful, that is fun, that is good for your soul, but also is still valuable years down the road. That's one of the reasons why, you know, certain Porsches are highly sought after, because enthusiasts know these cars are great, kind of goes without saying. But it's also good to know that you're going to be able to buy something and get a lot of your money back years down the road. It's like people who buy Rolex watches. You know, you spend the money, you enjoy it, and if you ever want to sell it, you get all of your money back, and in some cases more. What's not to like? So once again, a big shout out to Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver. The website's easy to remember. It's corecars.com, and the link, as always, is in the description below. Unique car, GT3 front end, modified rear suspension, Carrera S engine, fabulous good looks, and a manual transmission. What's not to like? Plus, it's holding its value. So my goal on the channel is to do one of these collectible or Survivor Series cars each and every Friday on the channel. So I would love it if you would click on the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything. If you don't like the videos, you can unsubscribe, but please follow along and we'll see you in the next one.